Let's see. I don't even know what to call this. I wouldn't call it
Financially. Families in the United States. On UnitedNetwork.tv.
Ay, oh. Masaros ka nito.
Tired of being programmed? United Network is a new network for a new reality.
And whatnot, and they sent, for example, I do
Manifest Health. So
the portal there was predominantly used.
Hey. And now, the World Situation Report with Kimberly Gogan from the Office of the Guardian. Winslow, Arizona looks like an old, dusty western town. But what is really going on there? And how is this related in some way to the war in Israel? Plus an update on the status of governments and the world financial system. And we'll answer 3 of your video questions as we connect with Kim. Now here's Kimberly Gogan with the Office of the Guardian. Hi, Kim. Happy Wednesday.
Is it?
I don't know. It feels weird to me. I feel like I'm in a weird, dreamland thing. We didn't talk too much in the regular news about Israel. I figured we had an update from you on that.
Yeah, I mean, I can give you a lot of updates, like on blow by blow, minute by minute. For example, I do know that, let's go back to what's happening and the real reason for this war. Like, we talked about the reason the last time, but the progress on that as we go. Okay, so I do believe I've told you about Winslow, Arizona a while back. I think it was several months ago, and the portal there. The portal there was predominantly used by the Order of the Black Sun, generals, military, Space Force, those people. There he is. Never heard that before. Standing on the corner in Winslow, Arizona. And see, there's a girl in the window. Can you see her? Flatbed Ford.
Oh, yeah.
Slowing down
the window. Okay.
to take a look at the guy. Great song. But there is also there an abandoned old air station. So the old air station is allegedly it was closed down in the 50s. That's absolutely not true. They have been using this as a communications post with the lower astral. They would get orders about, who needs to be assassinated. It could be all kinds of stuff. So the only thing that we didn't clear out a couple of months ago when we were there was a bunch of old papers, some old tapes. There was a holographic phone there for communication lines. And when they ran out of options for funding this war, let's just say Langley 5 sent people, the 5-star general, sent people there to get some information, get some data, what could they use, and they stumbled upon a bunch of old codes and AI system information and whatnot, and they sent all their operatives to go enter all of these codes to see if they could get anything. When that failed, it was yesterday, started at midnight the night before, and I know that because sleep eludes me these days. And that's about the only thing that they've managed to do to me thus far is, lack of sleep, which is fine. I can survive on very little. So they ran around all day yesterday doing this and told them that they would get 100% of the money, which was absolutely not true. They had every intention of taking 90%, and putting it towards further plans for war and other things. So when this failed, the call that took place around 10:30 Eastern time today, they showed up about an hour and a half late. That's normal for them. let all the operatives. This is also the Israelis are in there, the British are in there. Everybody is in there, and they were just told they don't have all the data yet, and that this was just a test. And we'll see what happens. So, to see if anybody's been successful on the real operation. So there's unknown fairies running a real operation somewhere, because all that information is a lie and it's not the truth. Treasury Department is really starting to panic now. They're wanting to go forward. There's other people that will go off a cliff with these guys. They also started another bit of commotion over the last couple of days as well. If you've ever read the book Sun Tzu, there is a technique called outside in, inside out. And that means that you kind of put your enemy like the cream filling in the middle of an Oreo cookie. So that means you surround them from the inside and from the outside. And they had the intention of doing this with me. So they called up the local security people that, kind of run things around here. And they told them that they needed to rattle my cage. They needed to, let me know that I was not secure in this town and that I needed to start doing what they wanted me to do. At the same time, they tried to install all of their people in banks and other places. So they thought by rattling my cage, so to speak, that, now I would be all nervous, and they were promptly met with a prompt, probably swear word, no, to them. And, nobody's paying these guys. They've gotten more truth out of me than they've gotten out of anybody in years. And nobody wants to play the game anymore. Then there's no money, and they know there's no money coming from these people, and all they do is lie. So, no.
Yeah.
On the outside, they tried to install their people into banks, treasury departments, trying to keep me, what they think is blocked off, using their people in bank back offices and stuff like that to try to make sure I couldn't move any money without them. And then they were going to tell me what I was going to do. And then I now worked for them. That was the plan. But that's never happened to me before. I've never seen it ever before. So it didn't happen, years ago where they try to break you down. They try to break your income sources down. They don't let you get a job. There's all this blacklisting and stuff that goes on. And, they're not getting anywhere. I mean, I've already done this before. I know exactly what I'm doing. I'm not playing the game. And that's the end of that. It didn't really last long. They're having a really difficult time getting anyone, including banking operatives, because that's an operative status as well, to comply with what they want. There's just no money. Mm-hmm. There are some that still continue to follow. There was no time or day given for a follow-up phone call as to when they would have all the details. They just told everybody, including the Israelis and everyone else, to just sit and wait.
So are they still supposed to perpetuate the war? I mean, they're not literally sitting
They weren't
waiting.
told not to, and they weren't told to perpetuate it. They weren't told anything.
Okay.
Nothing. So, as of this moment, I do know that the Mossad did call Rothschild and told them they can't continue without money.
Yeah.
And they told them just to continue. And they said, I'm sorry, we can't continue without money. And so then they called Langley 5 and started yelling at Langley 5. And this was probably about, 30 minutes ago from the time that we recorded this.
Okay.
So what's going to be the end result of that? Then they're probably going to call and yell at somebody else. And then somebody else will yell at somebody else. And then eventually they'll go around in a circle and just start yelling at each other from the top and go back around. I don't know what they're doing. But clearly those that are following them are following them off a cliff. And unfortunately, it's causing a lot of deaths. Now, in Israel, what we have seen is I have seen the Chilean Air Force from Chile bringing in supplies, mostly ground weapons. Seen the United Nations take off from Iraq, which what they were doing in Iraq, who knows? They never do anything positive. Now, the United Nations is a Rothschild organization. I do know that they have been trying, they have been on a, let's see, I don't even know what to call this. I wouldn't call it sales pitch, but they are trying to rally countries in the region and elsewhere to donate weapons for the war, and ammo, and to keep things going for free. So far, like I said, Chile has donated. The Americans have donated some M270s, MLRS, which is a multi-rocket launching system, for lack of a better term. And, for those of you that don't know. So, they have Poland that just showed up actually within the last couple of hours with weapons in support of what's going on there. I do know that hospital generators in Gaza are running out of fuel, probably within the next 12 hours. So we're going to have to try to figure something out about that. So they have no intention of stopping anything, but they also have no intention of paying anyone. Mm-hmm. Israel does have a conscription law, which means that everyone, both men and women, have to serve for a short period of time when they turn 18 years old in the military. So they're all trained. They have a lot of soldiers, but you still have to pay these people. You can't not pay them. The Mossad is very concerned about all the people that are dying. They were told that this was all part of a plan. So I'm going to go ahead and tell you about this plan. Because this ties into your financial update as well, which is a whole lot of nothing going on, but I'm going to tell you in brief. Okay, so I've told you about the 100-year plan. And the 100-year plan was what was handed to Lenin from Rothschild, which included the transfer of power at the time from the installation of communism, the transfer of power from the UK, the World War, the next World War, which was World War II, what the following one would be right around this time. And there was a bunch of little caveats with that. Now, the original plan that was put together, not by Rothschild and not by these people, was actually a 1,000-year plan, a 1,008-year plan that originated in Japan. So how's that for very interesting? Some of it's told as mythology, and they talk about the gods and creatures and this and that type thing. But in reality, it was a foresight from, let's just say, non-humans into what they would need to do to reverse us back should we ever become this light. Okay. Now, the plan was supposed to conclude, the 1,000-year plan was supposed to conclude in 2025, which is why you hear a lot about the events of 2024 and early next year and Red October and all the things that were supposed to start now, and none of it's actually working. Mm-hmm. But what you may or may not know is that there was a portal in Japan off the islands. It's talked about a little bit in movies. I think the latest Lara Croft movie talks about an island with unknown things and Typhoid Mary and that type of things. But there was a portal very similar to what you call the Bermuda Triangle in Japan that was actually tied to the gods of the underworld. You can look it up. It's in their mythology, and that is in this plan as well. And they were supposed to fire this up because Japan was going to take over the financial system of the world in 2025. It was kind of like a backup plan to the Chinese and their Black Widow program and all of that. So they would still have control. It was in cooperation with the Chinese, so this wasn't, a one-man show with Japan. They aren't the next to want to be in charge. But a lot of people around the world know about this program. Next, in preparation for this program, there is a very special school in Japan where a lot of people send their children. Remember we talked about this the other day?
Mm-hmm.
So they have sent these people all throughout the world, infiltrating governments and stuff everywhere, in order to implement this plan in 2025. Well, panic set in, and if you have been watching the news, you will see that there are enormous banking outages in Japan right now, and there have been for about 2 days, as